The CFA Institute has just amended its bylaws to now include, amongst other things, new classes of CFA members. Many people on the internet, including myself, and some CFA Institute societies were worried and encouraging others to vote against the passing of all of these proposals. How all of these proposals passed, I don't know, but we're going to talk about what these could mean for CFA candidates and CFA charter holders in the future. In the most recent annual meeting for the CFA Institute, all 11 proposals that all amended the bylaws actually passed by a vote amongst charter holders. The Institute says that for a new proposal to pass, at least 2/3 of the voting members need to approve it, and there were 2 proposals this year that were especially controversial, and only one of them was relatively close to not passing. It got a 73% approval vote, which I really don't understand considering the amount of backlash I was seeing and others were seeing leading up to the voting. The 2 most controversial proposals were Proposal 1 and Proposal 5. One allowed the Institute to update the purposes of the organization, and really what they did was they consolidated the purposes that they list. They were currently things like upholding the professionalism of the investment industry to benefit all members of society. Now, all they've said so far is that they are happy this proposal passed because it provides flexibility for expansion of future purposes of the Institute. I've seen a couple theories on Reddit of what this more generalized definition of purpose could materialize into, and they were not especially encouraging. I'm not going to share those theories because I don't think they're founded in anything. They're just thoughts that some folks had. My feeling is that they're not going to change all that much in terms of what the CFA Institute is. I actually felt like Proposal 5 passing was an even crazier thought and will be an even bigger change for CFA charter holders and candidates in the future. Proposal 5 allowed the Institute to create new, non-voting, different membership classes amongst the CFA program. So these wouldn't be CFA charter holders, these would be CFA something else's. The major criticism here is that they are watering down the CFA letters by allowing these other little degrees and certificates to now count as people's involvement in the CFA program, ultimately just so that the Institute can charge more membership renewals every year for all these various certificates that they may start offering. And you have to know that the Institute already has some ideas cooking. They've said that they don't have any plans right now to add a new class of member, but why would you ask for a new proposal or a new amendment to be voted on to allow you to add a new class of member unless you actually wanted to do it? Of course they're going to do it. And really it's further proof that the Institute is going to be adding a new class or new classes of members just if you look at their own rhetoric around this change that they wanted to make. Every time they've talked about it publicly or they put out a little blurb about it on their website, they say something to the effect that these new class of members will not have voting rights, so don't worry, you'll still have to pass all the exams and become a regular member to have voting rights towards the charter. But myself and a lot of other candidates and charter holders out there don't really care who gets voting rights. That's not all that big of a deal to me. I didn't become a CFA charter holder to have voting rights so that I can have a voice in what the CFA Institute does. Like 99% of the other candidates and charter holders out there, I did it to get the letters, right? To get the knowledge base and the prestige and the career advancements that come with it. We already know that they have the ESG certificate. If they change that into a CFA ESG member, and then maybe they add a CFA trading certificate, and then maybe they add a CFA investment banking certificate, and they start offering all these little courses like some investment banking or private equity prep courses out there on the internet. Eventually you're going to have 10 times the amount of finance professionals out there who have some affiliation to the CFA without actually maybe getting to put comma CFA after their name. It's going to be like shortly underneath their name that says, you know, CFA investment banking certificate passee or something to that effect. I could really see the CFA Institute using this to sort of morph into more of like an online university, which maybe I'm just being pessimistic, but to me that sounds like a terrible idea. It would basically become a meme like some of those online colleges that went bankrupt. I think University of Phoenix, ITT Tech. I certainly hope they don't go that far with it, but it just kind of feels like that's the direction that they could potentially head in with this new class of member approval. And like I said at the beginning of this video, everything I saw online, and we had public statements from, I think like the CFA Society of Texas, of Central Michigan, maybe Chicago, encouraging all of their members to vote no to especially proposals 1 and 5. So the only way I can see that these two proposals passed were that a lot of charter holders got the email and said, yeah, I'll vote, and clicked yes, 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 all the way down. Now I understand it. I've done that type of voting myself before, especially when I'm voting for some random causes that don't really seem to affect my life directly. the vote is being administered by an institution that I hold in high regard. They're putting things to a vote because they want them to happen, so I just mark yes all the way down and don't worry about it. So yeah, I feel like if everyone actually read and understood what all these proposals really meant, then you would not have seen a 73% yes vote, especially on Proposal 5. It should have been less than 50%, nowhere near the 67.67% that they needed for it to pass, which is pretty concerning. I just hope I'm wrong, but there could definitely be thousands and thousands of CFA charter holders who in the future see this change that the Institute has made or is already making, the value of their hard-earned certificate being watered down, and wondered, man, how did this happen? The CFA Institute has gone off the path that they were when they started off on and becoming the world's gold standard in terms of academic investment research and investment education. And people could just be wondering, like, how did it get here, without realizing that they were the ones who voted for this very thing to happen. For someone who opposed the proposals, it just kind of sucks, you know? This is probably how it feels when you vote on anything that goes in the other direction, because it's like you feel powerless, whereas of course you had some proportionate amount of power since you were a voting member, but when you lose that vote, it's just like, there's nothing else you could have done. Now, hopefully the Institute doesn't do anything that would water down the value of the charter. Hopefully they don't start adding different certificates here and there or different educational paths here and there that allow people to use the CFA name all over their resume. But right now, I just cannot envision a use case of Proposal 5 that would not at least somewhat water down the value of the charter. Let me know if you guys have ideas. Let me know in the comments if I'm thinking about this in a too negative light, and there is really some innocent reasons that the Institute would need to amend the proposal in the way that they did. Honestly, I'm hoping there are some good reasons, and I'm just not seeing them at the moment. But yeah, that seems less likely to me at this point, so kind of a sad day. It was kind of a sad day to see those proposals pass. I don't want to be overly dramatic, but honestly, it could be a really significant change in direction for the CFA Institute for the rest of its existence. We could see this thing being like, 1955 or whenever exactly it started to 2023 when they really had one main program, and then 2023 onward where they have 8 programs and 7 of them are really minor to the main CFA program. And it could make a huge mark on the difference of what the CFA Institute means into the future. So maybe we'll have some up-and-coming genius financier with a large social media following start their own financial industry educational certificate that goes back to the roots of what the CFA Institute once was. Maybe. And even though I don't like it, it does make perfect sense that the Institute would want to do something like this. They're just following in the footsteps of the American Medical Association, who, after they established the MD marks for medical doctors, those who have become board certified physicians, the American Medical Association then just established their new certificate called Certified Medical Person, CMP. And CMPs are able to perform all the duties of doctors. They can write prescriptions. It only takes 6 months to become a CMP. Any random homeless person from downtown San Francisco can sign up online, pay their $50 per year that they're certainly getting from the government to register for the CMP, Certified Medical Person. And then the American Medical Association says, hey, they're basically a doctor. We just wanted to offer kind of a light medical degree certificate. And there are no issues there. All of these millions of Certified Medical Person CMPs running around the world giving prescriptions out for opioids to random people who have, periodic headaches. It's not causing any problems out there. I can't foresee it causing any problems into the future. Nothing really goes wrong when you give thousands or millions of depressed people opioid prescriptions at an unlimited supply. And further yet, all the medical doctors who went to 8 years of medical school, they're not disadvantaged by this at all. Their businesses aren't changing. It doesn't matter that there's a light version of a medical doctor to them because they have the real thing. They are the only voting members, so who cares if 90% of their patients are gone and the vast majority of patients across the world are getting terrible quality medical care because all the people who just did this 6-month-long certificate basically get the same industry credentials as real medical doctors. It's not that big of a deal. Oh wait, I'm kidding. That would be the worst thing for the history of humanity. And kind of feels to me like that's the direction the CFA Institute is headed.